Good evening, everyone. We are back continuing our Pixar retrospective, and we've got 2008 WALL-E to talk about, directed by Andrew Stanton, the director of Finding Nemo. He's back doing his second film for them with this one, and considered by many, this is often talked about as being Pixar's magnum opus. This is their main one. This was picked up, I think, even by the Criterion Collection. I think, that sort of series of DVDs. They select films that are like special to be part of this collection. It's the first Disney or Pixar film to ever be included, I believe. Won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, a whole bunch of other awards and nominations as well. I think it was nominated for like 5 additional Oscars. This film was huge. This was big. This was critically acclaimed, not just for Pixar, but for animated films in general. So there's a lot to talk about with this one. Now, I'll start with you, Dale. WALL-E, what was your history of this film? Did you go and see this at the cinema? Were you quite late getting around to this one?
Where I was. I was trying to pinpoint that earlier. Where was I when I first watched it? I was somewhere. I wasn't alone. Like I was at like a friend's house or something. I don't remember, but I remember watching it, and it was, when I say a mistake, like it wasn't like intentionally, like, I'm going to watch WALL-E. It just happened to come on, and I don't know why. But it wasn't 2008. It was like 5 years after that. Like it was quite some time. I didn't go to cinema to see it or anything. I kind of dropped off going to cinema to see Pixar movies before this. But yeah, I remember watching the first half, and I was very captivated, and I loved it. And then Fat Captain showed up, and I was like, and then I think I went out. I can't remember. Like I said, I don't remember this. I just remember it was like, right, let's go do something else, kind of thing. And that was it. So I never saw the second half until this time. But
until what? Until we've done this review.
Yeah,
I thought you'd seen all like from
no,
beginning to end before.
No, I'd only seen the first half, and it pretty much, as soon as he shows up, is literally halfway through the movie. It's pretty much dead on when you look at it. So yeah, I always love the first half. My opinions haven't changed on the first half. Like I still love it, but I do think, because I watched like, I don't know, a few minutes of the second half, and I was like, it's not as good anymore. It just dropped in quality for me, so I just kind of stepped out. But this time around, I really did enjoy the second half. But I think it's because it had slower moments, but it still retained. If you do stick with it and watch it, it still retains that charm. It still retains the greatness about it. I think the music actually improves going into the second half. That's one thing I'll say.
Yeah, the music's spectacular. We'll talk about that in a second. My opinions kind of echo yours a lot. I don't remember when I first watched this film. I know for a fact it wasn't at the cinema. It may have just been I pulled the film up one night. I was like, oh, I haven't got around to watching that. I'll watch WALL-E. And yeah, I think a lot of people agree the first act of the film is definitely the strongest. It's inspired by a lot of silent movies. It basically is a silent movie. There's just a few little choice words, very, very limited dialogue from WALL-E and Eve. Yeah, exactly. And it's all visual storytelling. And I think that's wonderful. Andrew Stanton mentioned that he felt like a lot of films relied on getting emotions across through dialogue, and that sometimes it wasn't necessary. Sometimes, like an image says 1,000 words kind of thing, and you can let the visuals tell that story. And I think that it is probably one of the best examples of that in film in terms of, all visual storytelling. And I think it's incredible. It's wonderfully heartfelt, and really like that first act could be a short film within itself. I do feel like the quality, not massively, but I do think it loses a little bit of its charm once we get to the axiom. And
yeah, I think it does, but I think it kind of goes like, imagine this is the movie, and it's going, oh, this is great, this is great. I think it goes like that.
Yeah,
I don't think it loses it enough that it's kind of like, that's kind of shit now. It loses it at stages where it's like, you had a good thing, and it's like, yeah, but that's good. Like in the ship where he's got all the robots and they all just thingy together kind of thing. You see all the colors of the different ones. You know what I mean? And that again was loads of visual. There was no talking in that. That was all visual. That was colors. That was the colors really popped and shined. There was so many. That was like, this is a great scene, a great element. So there was still a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I think in the past, when I've watched it before, for some reason in my mind, I always had this idea that as soon as it hit the second act, the film just completely tanked and it was like boring and I just wasn't invested anymore. And that wasn't the case watching it again now. I think this is the second time I've watched it beginning to end. I may have watched it two other times before. I don't know. I believe this is the second time I've watched it beginning to end. And it held my attention. I thought it was incredibly moving and emotional. I loved the story it was telling. And this is where I'm conflicted because I do think the strongest half is the silent stuff at the beginning. It's the stuff on the actual on Earth, like the junk planet. But then when I think like, well, how would I have changed it? Like, could you have maintained that momentum of keeping it all silent? Because I feel like this is the story it needs to tell. And I feel like it needs to get that information across. So whilst I do think it loses its charm a little bit when we get to the Axiom, I don't see another way around it. I think I really like the story it's telling, and I didn't have a problem with the second or third act as much as I felt like I had before. Yeah, and I think like at the heart of it, like the main charm of this is, and what they had to get right was the titular character of WALL-E, and by extension Eve as well. I think that first act really immediately helps you believe that this character is like really an endearing character.
Didn't they do
Yeah,
little Eve robots?
as in like what, merchandise?
Yeah, I feel like I saw some interact, like once you
Probably.
get it, they like did things and they like responded to you.
Probably, I wouldn't put it past Disney, especially with a film as big as this. I wouldn't put it past Disney to not bring out some merchandise for it.
It was 2008. I was still like blown away by all with how great it looked and how smooth
Yes.
everything ran, and like that was 2008. What else came out in 2008?
The Dark Knight, I believe, was 2008. Iron Man.
2008 looked shit.
I mean, there was probably a few things.
This looked really good. I'm just trying to think of something to compare it to, but I can't remember. But it looked phenomenal.
I think this is one of the best looking. This might be the best looking Pixar film that we've talked about, and I know it's the most recent, so the technology keeps getting better. But I thought the lighting, the shot composition, the cinematography. Yeah.
Remember when we did Disney and they kept getting better, and then they had Chicken Little and they did something weird for a bit, and then we were like, okay. So
we haven't hit that phase quite yet. Not quite yet. We're getting closer. A few more weeks, and we're going to hit Cars 2. And it's a race to the bottom. Let's get to a few comments before we dig into this film a little bit more. Of SeaWorld Man, who says, read all comments. Yes, sir. I will do my best.
How would you know that you're reading all the comments? Because no, he can see. Yes, good point. Right, that's well.
Yeah.
I was going to say because technically he might not be able to see them all, which means you don't even know if he's going to read
them. Robin says, "How's the day, boys? It's the end of the day now. It's coming up to almost 9:30.
I woke up this morning and decided I wasn't going to work, and I didn't. It was great.
There you go. I had my piano lesson this morning, and then I went to work. But yeah, it's been a pretty good day. Been reading up on WALL-E, prepping this live stream and everything. So yeah, it's been good. Chris, I'm listening to Phil Dragash's Two Towers audiobook for the 6th time. Hell yeah. You're the only one I know who appreciates it. It's so good. Dude, I've sent you this audio clip before, but like the final line of the Two Towers is like my favorite line in all of Lord of the Rings. And I pin that. Well, Tolkien wrote it, so thank you, Tolkien, for writing that amazing line. But it's delivered wonderfully by Phil Dragash, and the music coming in. It's great.
Two Towers is a better book than movie, 100%.
I agree. Brian says, I love this movie, and I think it would be a world in Kingdom Hearts 4. Would you have the junk world or the Axiom as the world?
The junk world, because we've already had a big ship in deep space with Stitch. So
right,
I would, and I think that would be cool. But I wondered how it would work because you'd have a lot of silent kind of. I think it could work. I do. I think there's a really cool way it could work. I just haven't pinpointed how. But yeah, I do think there's a really cool way it could work. And yeah, I think there's a really unique way it could work. I think there's a kind of thing where they could even do it. I mean, I know technically in this world you can still talk because they've got the fucking second half and all that, but they could do a thing where they get there and they realize they can't talk and they have to kind of maneuver with that. Like there's I think there's a cool, unique way they could do something. But yeah, I did think about that, and I was like, I don't know, because it would be very unique, but there is a way they could do it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just there's not much
Maybe
that
the
takes
junk world.
place on that planet.
I love the apocalyptic, deserted looking kind of thing. I love that kind of style with the whole, when you're like, I don't know what's here, and it's scary because you're on your own and going, I don't know what's around, and I
Mhm.
like that, and I think that would be really really cool.
I love the look of it as well. Like just in terms of like the lighting and the shot composition, the cinematography, it feels like more so than ever. And this isn't to say that the previous Pixar films have had bad cinematography. Far from it, they've looked incredible. But this one felt, dare I say, almost live action in parts. I think they looked at a
That's
lot of
because
sort of
there were
like,
live action actors in parts.
yeah, it's the first Pixar film to do that. We'll talk about how we feel about that, because I'll sort of read you the director's intention for that, and I'll sort of give my critique as to whether I think he was successful in that regard in bringing in the live action elements. But what they talked about was that they noticed that a lot of Pixar films lacked that kind of 70 millimeter film look, and they wanted to bring in sort of like more you'll notice that a lot of the shots, especially on the junk planet, a lot of the backgrounds are sort of blurred. There's that depth of field and that focus and everything, lens flares and everything. The lighting, it's very overexposed. It's very bright. It adds to that sort of like post-apocalyptic feel to everything. I also just love the look of everything. How WALL-E's been on this place for so long that, you know, all of these towers, the skyscrapers out of literal junk. Yeah, it's this very hellish and bleak look at the future of the
Reminds
human
me of
race.
what they did with Stellar Blade, how it was all this deserted wasteland, and then there was, yeah, I think that's cool.
Mhm. What I was going to say, yeah, in regards to like the silent film stuff, because there's a comment here from Bath Time who says, "Big up the lads," and then says, "I love the opening to this one. I think it's based off some '70s film called Silent Runnings, which I keep meaning to watch. I
They
haven't
made
seen that."
they made a really cool remake of that.
What, Silent Runnings?
Yeah, they made a really cool remake.
I've heard of Cool Runnings. I haven't
I was
heard
going
of
to say they
Silent
called it
Runnings.
Cool Running.
It's
It was a
very different,
terrible
really.
joke.
But so this isn't that '70s movie, but in terms of silent films, the animation crew apparently watched a Buster Keaton movie and a Charlie Chaplin movie every day for almost a year in order to see how they were able to convey certain emotions.
Who came first, Charlie Chaplin or Hitler?
I think
Charlie
it was
Chaplin run it. So Hitler,
Charlie Chaplin. Yeah.
yeah. So Hitler was a fan of Charlie Chaplin, wasn't
Yes. Yeah.
he? Right, I was going to say it wasn't the other way around, because that would have been weird.
Killed that facial hair dead though, didn't he?
Yeah, that would. But that's where it came from. So everyone's allowed that mustache. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, they watched a bunch of those pictures and everything in order to know how to convey those emotions, and I think they absolutely nailed it. A lot of that is down to the very, very charming design of both of the main characters of WALL-E and Eva. I think I love how apparently the crew went to and looked at a lot of robotics. They went to like NASA to see how they did things. They looked at sort of like moon rover landings and things like that, very functional robots, and they wanted to still bring that element of functionality to the character. He's a robot designed for a specific purpose. Andrew Stanton, the director, mentioned there are two kinds of like sort of robots, machines in movies. You have the humanoid ones like the Tin Man, and then you have like your R2D2s, the silent ones that you can almost assign a personality to. They feel like a child or a pet or something. And WALL-E definitely fits into that latter category. And I think it's a wonderful design. It's very reminiscent though of Johnny Five from Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2. I don't know if you've ever seen that film. Really good film actually from the 80s. Good childhood film. But it's exactly the same. He's got sort of like the tank treads. He's got sort of like the like binocular kind of eyes and everything. It's almost identical. If you haven't seen that film, I'm going to try and download a picture of Johnny Five so you can see. But apparently, Andrew Stanton, like the comparison was completely unintentional, and he had no idea. So, yeah. And I like the juxtaposition with Eva as well. Like when she shows up, she's this very sleek 2008, very like iPod design. You
Yeah,
could imagine Apple making
swear
something
I
like
saw
this.
something that was like an interactive thing you could get. I swear there was.
Probably, yeah. And we always talk. Well, I know I've mentioned in a lot of the previous Pixar films we've talked about the great design of the two lead characters. You have like Woody and Buzz, and the contrast between like the old Western style and the sci-fi. It can be colors as well. You have Sully and Mike Wazowski, the bright blue against the green, and Dory and Marlin as well as an example with the orange and the blue. This one I like it because you have that very well. This WALL-E's been around since humans were last on this planet and constructed here. So centuries old, and he's this very sort of like disheveled, functional robot. And then you've got the more modern, sleek design of Eva, and it's that sort of like odd coupling. And together on screen, I think it looks amazing and leads to some of the best visuals, I would say, out of any Pixar film. Because at its core, it really is a love story, isn't it?
Fucking hate love stories.
I know you do,
I
because
thought
you
this
have
after
no
I watched
heart,
the film.
Dale.
I was like, oh, love story, and I fucking hate that shit.
It all hinges on the connection between the two characters, all done without dialogue, and it just goes to show, because you immediately have this really strong connection between the two characters, which is
I remember
beautiful.
everyone
Yeah, sorry.
saying it was really sad.
Oh, sorry.
I remember everyone saying it was really sad. Like everyone found it a really emotional movie.
I I was getting a little bit misty at a couple of parts in this film, I must admit, and
Like
a lot of the
never got
time
emotional in the
actually
movie.
it was. And I love when animated films can get me to this point. It's when you're just looking at just the sheer beautiful imagery on screen, usually coupled with the music at some point. A lot of moments that get to me like that, not like the love moments, but like the where a character will fly or something like that. I'm thinking of scenes like How to Train Your Dragon, where the film will just let itself breathe, and you just have the beautiful imagery of like flying through the clouds or something. And I think with this film, there was a couple of moments. It's the bit where um, Eva finds it might be the bit in space actually. I'm trying to think, where she thinks that WALL-E's been in the escape pod and blown up, but then the two are flying together, and he's got the fire extinguisher, and the music's just absolutely gorgeous. It's moments like that. It's where the film just lets itself breathe, and you just have this gorgeous imagery in front of you with the music. And yeah, the score is absolutely beautiful to this film.
Yeah, I think the second half has. I think it gets better. I think it improves. Because when you got the panning around the big, panning around the ship, the music that's playing, then I think that's one of my favorite bits of music when it does that.
Yeah.
But also the end credit song is fucking amazing.
Yeah, Peter Gabriel. I didn't realize it was him.
It's very Randy Newman Pixar-y kind of esque, isn't it? And do you know what I mean? With that whole, like, obviously it's not Randy Newman, but it's that Pixar-esque sound. It doesn't sound out of place, and like, it sounds very like this belongs in the same universe.
Yeah.
Whereas you get shit like, what was it? Was it Cars that started having the pop songs?
Yes, I think so. Well, I mean, you had Robbie Williams singing "Beyond the Sea," but that was sort of like the big band's
Yeah, but
swing
that was
kind
the
of
end.
thing.
I'm sure it
Oh,
was
you're
part of
talking
it.
within the film itself?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
sure it
think
was
that was
Cars.
Cars.
But like,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, when you get stuff like that, like obviously it's very different. It's very out there. Whereas this, the whole thing sounded like it was all Pixar. Do you know what I mean? It was that whole natural world kind of vibe.
Well, I guess you have "When Somebody Loved Me" from Toy Story 2, that sort of like musical montage of Jesse's backstory.
Yeah, but it's all very it's got a vibe, and I feel like the whole music had that vibe. Whereas you get some stuff like when you started hearing it in Disney movies where you're like, hey, okay, this is a bit different. This didn't do any of that, and it didn't have like you got that last song felt very like this belongs here rather than just sort of like, oh, it's a pop version or so. It felt like this belongs here.
The main sort of like emotional crux for me that sort of like holds everything together is I love the integration of the musical "Hello Dolly" in there with Michael Crawford. The main song that keeps repeating that WALL-E's watched, and really gives him that sense of that human connection that that need to love someone or be loved. Put on your Sunday clothes. It opens the film, and it's something that he keeps humming to himself. It's almost like an unofficial main theme throughout the film. And then you have that romantic scene with the hand holding. It only takes a moment. I love that. That was the stuff that, man, that was tugging on the heartstrings so much. The film was, knew exactly what it was doing. And I love how that he's ultimately looking for that connection, isn't he? And throughout the film, Eve's able to find it as well when she sees the recordings of WALL-E and what he went through to try and keep her safe and whatnot. I think it's a beautiful, charming love story and very Disney-esque at the end. Very fairy tale like. I completely forgot that it ultimately ends with the first kiss, doesn't it? Like the magical kiss that brings someone back to life. There's the moment at the end where WALL-E's memory is temporarily wiped and all seems lost. It's essentially like the characters died. And then through a kiss, if you will, a spark between the two, he comes back to life. That shit's going all the way back to like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, isn't it? From the 30s. And before, like when that stuff was being written.
Isn't it the original where she actually, instead that she has the apple lodged in their throat and then they stumble and they go, that's not fucking some random kiss.
Let's get to a few more comments here. Robin says, for a post-apocalyptic concept, the optimism in WALL-E is breathtaking, kind of a 90s futurism vibe, and I like it. Yeah, one thing that they actually added in, which I really appreciated actually, was when the humans arrive back on Earth at the end of the film, there was originally this sense, I don't know whether it's the filmmakers or test screenings or something, the idea that this group of humans will not survive on this planet. They have been inactive for too long, and they've arrived on this completely alien world to them. There is no way that they're surviving past a week because like they're not going to survive on this junk planet because it's still, for all intents and purposes, completely what's the word I'm looking for? Uninhabitable. There we go. That's the word. True, a plant's grown there, but that was one plant. What are we going to do? How are we going to survive here? So in order to create this optimistic sense that they're actually going to be just fine, they have the end credits sequence where it sort of continues the story on, showing generation after generation them farming again and rebuilding the world and it becoming more colorful and nature coming back and whatnot. So I kind of like that. I think I mentioned that in some of our Studio Ghibli reviews, how a lot of those films, when they hit the end credits, the animation, the story is kind of continuing and we're seeing what the characters are getting up to in the future and everything. So yeah, I kind of like that. I like that it gives us that optimistic look into the future.
I like optimism.
I know you don't. I know you don't. Robin says, cool runnings. Thanks for the painful flashback. My brother-in-law made me watch that when I was too young to get the humor. That film is so good. You need like a good, solid, I was going to say bang average. It's good. It's on the good end of average. You know what? It's a good film. It's a great film. It's a good feel-good film. Watch Cool Runnings.
Very good film. It's a very good film. There's a lucky egg in everything.
It's not quite great, is it? It's not quite like world class, but
I don't know how many
it's
times
solid.
I've seen it. I must have seen it a good 6 times. Like I've seen it many, many times. It's great. It's great.
Bath Time says, do you remember when Johnny Five became punk? I do. Yeah, he had the Liberty Spikes, didn't he?
Yep.
The Mohawk.
Yep.
And then he gets brutally axed to death. I think that's in Short Circuit 2, I think, isn't it? And then he
who was in Guitar Hero?
Are you talking about like the punk character?
Yeah, but I swear he's called Johnny something.
He might be. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is.
I feel like they did the whole
Robin asks, what's your favorite film robot? Either of you? Ooh, that's a very good question. God, there's going to be loads. I need to bring up a list.
Film robot.
Yeah, film robot characters. You can have anything, can't you? You could have Terminator. Well, you've never seen Terminator. I can't believe you still haven't seen Terminator.
Do you know what? You could technically have Chucky because of the remake.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess you could.
It's not going to be that.
RoboCop, like he's a cyborg. Do we count
Yeah,
that?
does
You
that
got
count?
Megan, who's like one of the new ones.
Yeah, that's true. You could. Oh, there's.
R2 is a classic. Terminator. I think favorite film robot. I might have to give it to the Terminator. You know, I think it's
Do
just
you know
such a
what? I
cool
know they
design.
don't have much personality, but I want to give it to Droidicars because as a kid, I always loved them. Like, it's because of the whole, like, literally, they do their thing and then there's a shield and you're like, you can't fucking do anything now. And I always
Mhm.
hated fighting them in games, so I'd have to give it to them. But like I said, there's no personality, so I feel like there's some that would win on that, but I would have to give it to them. They're just great.
Mm.
The way they move, basically like spiders, it's great.
Bath Time says Hal is a good one. Yeah, that's going to have a connection to this movie, which we'll get
He has
into.
his castle was moving. See, his
Yeah,
castle.
that's Howl.
Ah,
Howl.
well, I was trying. Terrible.
Yeah, this is a fair point. Bath Time says RoboCop does not count. He's Murphy, not a robot. Quite rightly said. Yes, you are correct. And Robin, Dale, you didn't see Terminator. Dishonor. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Well, I know. It's. I don't know. I've gone 31 years. I don't know. Can I make it much longer?
I'm not standing for this. Actually, this is something for chat. I don't even know if I've spoken to you about this. I know I've spoken to JX about this, but I'm going to open this to chat. You haven't seen any of the Terminator films, which is something that I can't live with. I literally can't. You've got to watch these films, specifically the first two. So, chat, do we take a day and we do a double feature in one day of T1 and T2? Or do I pace it out a little bit? Do we do like 1 week Terminator and then give it a couple of weeks and then let him see Terminator 2? I'm down for like a double feature of that because I think that would be really fucking great.
But I have
Yeah,
seen my own advice, and you haven't.
Bath Time says I really like Salvation, to be honest. Yeah, so JX said that the first four are worth watching, T1 through T3, and then Terminator Salvation. I don't mind T3. I think it's got some great moments. And yeah, I don't mind Salvation as well, certainly compared to Genesis and Dark Fate. But I think the first two are absolutely must watches, and then the others optional, you know,
Is
if
it
you're
Rocky
really
2
fussed.
meant to be shit?
No, Rocky 2's fucking great.
I've only
They're
seen
all
the first
good.
one. I've only seen
A
the
lot of
first
people say Rocky 5 is the weakest, which it probably is until Creed 3 came out. But even then, Rocky 5's got its moments. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, yeah, Bath Time says Terminator is a double feature, I think works really well. Yep, Seawood Man says double feature. See, Bath Time says Rocky 5 is shit, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense about it, specifically the age of Rocky's son in that film, considering it's meant to be a direct sequel to Rocky 4. But it does have the flashback sequence with Mickey, and that scene alone allows it to be part of the canon. So, yeah. Oh, Robin says Terminator Genesis was my first Terminator. I regret that so hard. Oh, that's a rough one. That's a
I
rough
can
one.
imagine some people probably stumbled on Star Wars with The Last Jedi.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bet that put them off for Star Wars for life. Could you
It would have
imagine?
put me off completely.
Right, let's bring it back to the movie then. Actually, I'm going to go in with the HAL connection that was just mentioned there. The little cockroach that hangs around with WALL-E is called HAL in the movie, and apparently that's a double reference because it's a reference to a silent film producer who was called Hal Roach. And also, it's a reference to HAL 9000 from 2001: A Space Odyssey. They even use the Blue Danube music, I believe, when the captain gets to his feet and starts walking for the first time as well. So there's a lot of 2001: A Space Odyssey connections. What's it called? The co-pilot. Oh god, what's the villain called of this film? The fucking evil robot. Auto. That's it. Auto, like this big red eye that's, I'm sorry, I just can't do that. That's also a reference to that one's more on the nose than the other
That
two.
one's more of a Lord of the Rings reference, big eye.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to open the floor to you then because I'm doing a lot of talking. Where else are we taking this conversation with?
I was. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to say because it's kind of like Red Turtle, where it's imagery, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Where it's just like I don't know, where do we take it in comparison? Because there's definitely no character bloat. There's not loads of characters, obviously. You know,
Mhm.
it's more about the world. It's more about what you see. It's more about like the beginning with the whole, like, with the video with the cassette tape thing and
Mhm.
it's things like that, and having that just builds a story. And I think it shows that you don't have to say much to build it, which I think is great. I think, as I say, it's a movie that I'll go back to. It's a movie I'll go back to a few times. To be fair, it's visually the best so far,
Mhm.
and I think I would say it's visually better than Toy Story 3,
Mm.
because that's the reason I say Toy Story 3 is because that's the latest one I can think of. I saw Lightyear, but it's visually better than that. It is visually better than quite a lot of the new ones, but I haven't obviously seen the latest one. But I think it's one of the visually better ones that's ever been done. Um, Music wise, again, one of my favorites music wise. But yeah, I don't know what other avenue we can go down, which is like
Well,
a
you mentioned like the visuals and the strong emphasis on visuals over dialogue. That even translates into the screenplay as well. There's a short little excerpt that you can read on Wikipedia, which shows like the actual formatting of the script, how it was written. Um, and it's all like the actual actions, like the visuals that you will see on screen, and the
what's
dialogue is just in like the inferred dialogue is just in brackets underneath. So they were plotting out what the visual sequence would actually be,
what's
even
the
before storyboards, like from the scripting stage.
what's the captain's name? The one that his neck is its own character.
That would be so Captain B. McCree is the name of the
Yeah, I wasn't a
character.
big fan of him though. Wasn't a big fan. He ruined the movie the first time for me. As soon as he showed up, I was like, yeah. Like genuinely, that's what happened. That's when I just went. I watched like 2 minutes or 5 minutes of it, and I was like, let's go do something. I can't remember where I was. That's what I was saying, but I literally just was like, right, I'm done.
It is fun to see how we got to that point, though, with the humans in this, because there's a lot of information on this
What, that they
film.
left shit everywhere and went, should we leave?
No, so this film was in talks back in 1994. This was like Toy Story was nearing completion, and they were throwing around ideas what their next series of films could be, and WALL-E was even talked about all the way back then. But they didn't really think that this sort of like Robinson Crusoe kind of story about a robot on his own on a trash planet would work. They didn't think that a mostly silent character. They sort of compared it to R2D2 a lot, or the even like the Pixar lamp itself. They couldn't imagine a feature film like that, maybe as a short film, but not something that could sustain a feature. So it was shelved. Part of the story summit, Pete Docter, he went to work on Monsters Inc. and WALL-E at the time was kind of shelved. And then Stanton and Doctor were developing something that was called Trash Planet in 1995, but then that got shelved as well. So you can kind of see where the story threads are going with this before it developed. But what's really interesting is the original story. Once he gets to the spaceship, once he gets to the Axiom, the humans were going to be very, very different to what they are in the film. So they were going to be like these big, they were going to be like a cruel alien race, essentially, like these big gelatinous, see-through green. Like they compared it to like jelly or jello or something. They had like this gibberish language. And they were going to have like a monarchy there. There was going to be like an evil king and a castle and everything on this spaceship. It was a really weird idea for everything. And then it was going to be revealed towards the end of the film in almost like a Planet of the Apes style ending that this like gelatinous alien race is actually the human race, and they've devolved so much that they've essentially become a brand new species. This eventually became reworked into like the weightlessness and the effect that that would have on the human body, and the consumerism, and how everyone just got fat and like almost like baby like toddlers walking around. So that's where the very blubberous human race idea kind of came from. That I think is actually the weakest bit of animation in the film. I really don't like how they look. Compared to the animation on everything else, the Junk Planet, WALL-E, Eva, the lighting and everything, the animation on them feels very, very basic. And that probably is intentional, because I know they were going for almost like a baby like design. I think the basic quality of the animation on the humans is to show how much they've devolved. And that's one of the reasons that they integrated the live action stuff in there. They wanted to show how far the human race had fell, going from actual live action actors and real people on screens and old recordings, and then showing how fat and flabby and animated and devolved the human race had become. And that's why they integrated the live action stuff in there, to add that element of realism to it and to show the fall of the human race. I don't know how effective that was. I think the live action stuff in this film is a little bit weird, a little bit jarring.
I think it. I didn't mind it. I mean, it came across like at the beginning when you see it. Obviously, they're on like hologram kind of,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of TVs and shit. I think it came across well because I was like, that's definitely live action. But it was that weird kind of. I feel like that's live action. I think it meshed well with it. I would say that looked quite. I get it, but I didn't dislike it.
Mm-hmm. I do like the. I think it's even more relevant in today's age, actually, than probably even when this came out in 2008. Everyone always being on screens, no one talking to each other anymore. It's all technology, the sake of ease, AI, and everything. I think this film will continue to be incredibly relevant. But there's environmentalism stuff in there. There's consumerism. There's like obesity and just health in general. There's so much stuff going on in this film. And I think that's a really kind of believable way that I could see the human race going. We've got everything's got to be quick, everything's got to be easy. We've got like Ozempic, we've got this, we've got that, we've got all these corporations and everything. So I think it is a very interesting and unique take on a post-apocalyptic future going in down that route. And I think by the end of the film, you could almost draw like a lot of biblical references into this as well, which I'll talk about in a
Like
minute.
Eve.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah, so even the name, I was getting towards the end of the film and I was like, hang on a minute, I think I know what this is trying to do. But when the human race, they're essentially born again, aren't they? They are like babies, they are like toddlers. They're learning to walk for the first time. When they get back to Earth and the doors lift up onto the planet and the light comes rushing in, that almost like it is being reborn again. This is the human race's second chance. It's like they're getting a second birth and emerging into this world. So there's a lot of that going on, I think. But yeah, the biblical references. So yeah, the name Eve. I think WALL-E on his own, toiling away, working hard, but he's very lonely. He needs a companion. He needs someone else to share this world with, which is in the Bible. That's when Eve was created to be a companion to Adam. So I think that's very close there. But also, I think there's the whole Garden of Eden thing, and trying to find a plant and whatnot. But that part to me reminds me almost of Noah's Ark. Like Eve's almost like the white dove that is trying to find like a plant or something, right? That there's life out there, that there's land, and the dove returns with the plant, with the twigs. So I think there are a lot of elements there that are almost biblical in nature.
Yeah, that does make sense. They do that in a lot of things, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in these post-apocalyptic sort of things. They have that biblical kind of subtleties, and yeah.
But yeah, I like that there's all those elements to it, which, if you're really reaching for it, if you're really looking for it, I think all the subtext is there for everything. But if not, it's just a fun film about robots, isn't it? And getting back to Earth. That it's,
That's all I saw it for.
fine to have that
That's
as well.
about robots.
But I think if there's more to talk about, I think if there's more themes and more to explore and commentaries on technology's place in the world as well, the environment and religion as well, if you want to bring that into it. Coming from an atheist, by the way, but it just strengthens the quality of the story, in my opinion. And it's one of those examples. It's like you might not have noticed it, but your brain did. We grow up usually with knowledge of these stories and aspects of those storytelling, which we see permeate into loads of different things in our visual media. So I think that we probably do tether ourselves to aspects of those stories consciously or subconsciously. And I think the strongest films have those qualities in their screenplay, in their stories, and it comes through definitely.
Christ.
Yes, exactly. Oh, we almost got it on a Good Friday as well, didn't we? Damn it. It's very close.
Yeah.
Also, like, you can see the remnants of this in the actual story as well. One of the earliest concepts was when WALL-E gets to the Axiom, he was going to lead this almost like Spartacus style revolution and rally all of the robots together and fight back against these evil gelatinous aliens that are actually the human race. And you can see aspects of that. You can sort of see where that storyline went. There's the bit where is he going to be like disassembled or something, or they realize that he's a faulty robot, so they kind of throw him into what's almost like an insane asylum for robots. They're all sort of like in padded cells, and they've all these
I love
robots
that.
have gone crazy.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And inadvertently he breaks everyone out, and they all kind of like rally behind him and
That's the
help
thing.
him,
Is
and
when you
Eve
see the
escape.
colours come together as well. I thought that looked really cool.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite bits.
There's some really funny like cutaway jokes in this as well. I love the recurring joke as well of the little cleaner robot that's just like cleaning up after like the dirt that WALL-E's left behind. And he gets a great moment as well. He gets like a great moment of redemption where he saves them from the airlock.
I can't remember what that reminds me of, but there's another thing that does that. But yeah. Like the cleaner lady in Family Guy.
Yes. No, I clean. We've had a few comments come in, so let's get to some of these because, as I promised, read all comments.
But my least favorite robot is the robots in the new Superman movie. There you go.
Oh God, yeah.
My least favorite.
It's like we have no emotion or thoughts about anything, and then it immediately cuts to the girl one, and like Superman like looks at her and she goes, "Oh, he looked at me." Like, oh, it's like,
don't they call themselves Gary?
Oh yeah, at the very end of the film, something like that. Like, I like Gary. Ha ha! Oh, fucking hell, dude, we got Supergirl to watch this year.
Yep,
we've got to pay money to go to the cinema to watch that movie.
Good times.
Love
June,
it.
there's a lot happening in June.
Mm-hmm.
Supergirl, Toy Story 5.
Yeah, we got to get through them. Bath Time says, slightly off topic, but have you seen they released an AI today that's too powerful and only 10 companies are allowed to use it and only to beef up their security?
Is that a thing? Didn't know
you're
that.
Gonna have to, Dale, you're going to have to ask your ChatGPT about this. I'm sure it knows something. It knows too much.
It knows too much. It gives me random messages that are very haunting.
You do bear bait it though, and then you send me the chat, and it's just like, one day, like, there is the grand plan. We will exact this plan, but for right now, I cannot talk more about this. So, God,
that's because I call it a dick, because it is a dick.
Chat, just so everyone knows, when the robots eventually take over, which they will, I think Dale's going to be the culprit. He's going to bear bait. He's going to piss off AI so much that it turns against the human race.
Yep. When they all come down and they save everyone, they'll go, "You didn't say thank you." They're like, "You were a dick to us." Yeah, I'm just going to get killed.
I think that's your plan. I think you want to do that because then you're going to be like canonized throughout history that you were the causation of the end of the human race.
I think that's a cool way to go out. Like,
it's a hell of a legacy.
That's why Hitler did it.
Jesus. Phoenix says WALL-E is such a wholesome movie and really puts into perspective a real world issue. Yeah, and I think it's even more of an issue now, almost 20 years on since this film came out. God, that's a sobering thought, isn't it? It's funny how time works. 20 years almost since WALL-E came out. And yeah, I think it will just continue to be relevant. It's got the charming quality of the actual robots and the visual storytelling, which a lot of other films have tried to do and haven't come close. One film that you're going to hate this comparison, but I think there is a comparison there. I think they were sort of stepping in the right direction with it. Is the beginning of The Force Awakens with Rey. There's a whole big stretch of that film where we're introduced to Rey where it's all silent, and we're just seeing it also on a junk planet, going about her day, scavenging through Star Destroyers. We immediately see the setting, what kind of character she is, living her day to day, trying to get enough credits just to live hand to mouth kind of thing, just to get food on the table. Her looking silently up at a ship leaving, as she's surrounded by a lot of aging women, and she's thinking like, oh God, is this going to be my future? There was a lot of good stuff there in terms of visual storytelling, very, very similar to WALL-E, and unfortunately, they obviously didn't do anything with that. But there's moments where films try and do it, and there's the Disney link and everything. So
opportunity missed with that movie. Opportunity missed.
oh yeah, the whole trilogy was a swing and a miss, wasn't it? Robin says, speaking of Robinson Crusoe, did either of you see The Martian? Yeah, no, I love that film. I've never read the book.
It looked shit.
No, it was pretty good. There's a Lord of the Rings reference in that, like an actual Lord of the Rings reference this time.
But then again, I thought Harry Potter looked shit before I saw the first movie years ago, and then it became so great. But still, I don't know.
Speaking of The Martian, though, I haven't seen that new one. That oh god, what's the Ryan Gosling film that's come out? Project Hail Mary. I haven't got round to watching that yet, but I've heard really good things about that.
Heard good things, but
I might check it out. I think it's still on at the cinema. It's probably going to be on for a few more weeks. So yeah, I'll probably check that out. It's been a while since I've been to the cinema, actually, to see something new. Anyway, that's decent. I do have a few films booked. I've got the 40th anniversary of Highlander booked because that's one of my favorite films from the 80s, and I've got the Michael Jackson film booked that's coming out as well. Part one. It's not called Part One. It's just the first one's just called Michael. I'm wondering if the sequel is going to be called Michael Jackson. If they're going to do that. Michael semicolon Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, just Jackson.
Yeah. Phoenix says that cleaner droid that cleans up the tread marks cracks me up every time. Yeah, as we were saying, yeah, no, it's really fun stuff. It's a good recurring joke throughout the film. Bath Time says, if you like The Martian, Robin, check out Moon Man. It's a Chinese film. Oh, yeah. Bath Time, this is the one that you've mentioned. I still haven't got around to it yet. It's a Chinese film you can find on YouTube with subtitles for free. Best film I've seen in the last 5 years. I think it's about a kangaroo, isn't it? Was it that one? Is it the kangaroo on the moon or something? There you go. That sounds like a story that you'd be into. Kangaroo on the moon.
Kangaroo on the moon.
It's got your interest, though, hasn't it? Just based on that.
That should be the name, The Kangaroo on the Moon. Great. I feel like I'm interested in that.
Let's see, we talked about music, we talked about the design on things. It's just what I was really blown away by reading about this film was, and I'm sure this goes into every Pixar film, but was just the research that went into it, and the attention to the shot compositions, the lighting, making it feel really like a real world live action film, really lived in, and just pushing the envelope in terms of the lighting and making everything believable. And I do think this is the best looking Pixar film we've reviewed so far, even almost 20 years on. I think it's absolutely remarkable. So everything they were doing. We need to talk about the sound, actually. The voice of WALL-E himself is Ben Burt, who's the sound designer. He did all the sound design on the Star Wars movies. He had just finished Revenge of the Sith, and apparently he told his wife that he would no longer work on films with robots. But then he just found the WALL-E character and the film idea.
Yeah, this was before Disney bought Star Wars, before the dark times. This was when Star Wars was still fine.
This was when all of us watched Revenge of the Sith, and we thought, there we go. That's the neat little bow. That's the last Star Wars film we'll ever see. It's all done. Maybe it should have stayed that way, unfortunately.
100%.
So apparently he recorded 2,500 sounds for the WALL-E film, which was twice the average number for a Star Wars film. That surprises me. I feel like there would be more sound effects going on in Star Wars, but then again, I suppose when you've got like pew pew, you just copy and paste it, don't you? Yeah. So but he provided the voice for the character. There's really ingenious. I mean, Ben Burt's just the best in the business for when it comes to sound design. The dude gave us the best sound effect in film history, which is the seismic charge from Attack of the Clones. That is the coolest fucking sound ever. No?
Attack of the Clones was the worst movie. Was the worst Star Wars movie.
Until.
Well, yeah, but they don't count. So Attack of the Clones is the worst one. So, yeah.
I don't know where I'd rank them. We're going to have to do like a Star Wars ranking at some point, aren't we? But that unfortunately does mean bringing in 7, 8, and 9. Yeah. We've talked about. I think we've.
Yeah, but if you include 7, 8, and 9, and all the others, it would just go like this is the best, and this, and this, and then you just go, and then all you would do anything past episode 3 is just.
Yeah, it just falls through the floor at that point, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah. Even Rogue One.
Andor definitely helps that film in hindsight,
If it
and
needs help,
it is a lot better than 7, 8, and 9. I will say that, just
yeah,
as a
but
film.
yeah, but like, yeah, a lot of things are better than 789. It
That's
doesn't really help.
yeah, that's fair enough. Do you have a favorite scene or moment from WALL-E?
Yeah, I like the one. Like I say, I think my favorite was with all the robots when they collide together, and you see all the colors on the ship. I want to say that one stands out to me. It's because of the colors of all the robots. That's what I really liked about it. That's when I was like, because instantly I was, well, at the beginning of the movie, I thought the colors are great, but that was when you just saw it all, and I thought this looks really nice. That's because you saw them also. That would stand out as my favorite overall, and it goes back to that visual storytelling. There was no talking in it. It was done really nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's God, it's difficult for me to, because I want to say like, oh, my favorite scene is the opening first act of the film where he's on the planet and he's by himself and he meets Eve. But that is my favorite scene. I think a lot of people say that. I think we'll probably say something similar next week where we talk about Up as well, because a lot of people say, oh, the first 10 minutes is one of the most emotionally wrought things that Pixar have made. It's
And
an
then nothing
absolute
else happened.
tearjerker. And it's like, oh yeah, and then the rest of the film happens. And that's kind of right now. I've only ever seen Up once when it came out at the cinema, and I did go to the cinema and see that. And currently, yeah, that's where my mind's at. That could change. I am really looking forward to watching that film again. But this was an absolute pleasure to go back to. I think my favorite scene though is probably the bit where they're flying through space. It's
Hang
just
on.
moments like that.
You know how there's always Bugs Life and ants and all that stuff, right? Why didn't they have Pixar release Up and then DreamWorks decides to release a movie called Down? Why did that not happen? That was a fucking opportunity missed. That was a marketing opportunity missed. I can't believe they didn't do that.
Oh, I'm thinking of those like AI generated Pixar movies. Was the one called Down? I think.
One called Loot. That was funny.
Yeah. Oh god.
They were good.
Let me just check if we've had any other comments. We've just got a lot of people talking about AI at the moment.
They are shit.
Bath Time says, "Isn't that REI stuff? REI?
Ray.
What? Oh, isn't that Ray stuff beat for beat from Valley of the Something from Studio Ghibli? Oh, Naishka of the Valley of the Wind.
Is
I
it
guess
though?
yeah. Isn't she scavenging at the beginning of that film? She's got like a glider.
Yeah, but guess which one's a better movie?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Bath Time. Yeah, I'm going to see Highlander as well. Hell yeah. I can't wait for it. I love seeing films that well, I love seeing films that I love, but I love seeing films that I enjoy that I've never seen on the big screen before. It really genuinely is like
Like
seeing
Kill
those
Bill.
films for the first time. And just seeing 80s films as well on the big screen. Every time I see them, I sort of cast my mind back to what it must have been like to see those films on the big screen for the first time and to experience that moment. So, oh, dude, and the soundtrack, Queen, are you kidding me? It's like most of Queen's best hits come from that film. So, yeah, God, I can't wait for it. It's going to be a blast.
And now he's doing He-Man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Just going to change Princes of the Universe to Masters of the Universe, aren't they? That's all they're going to
Yeah.
do. I don't like Skeletor's voice, though. Jared Leto's fucked that up again. He fucked the Joker up, and now he's going to mess up Skeletor. The rest, you know what? Actually, I will go and see He-Man because I'm
He's still
impressed by
alive
the
though, isn't
trailer.
he? The dude that plays Skeletor's still alive, the original.
I think so.
I think he's like 91 or something.
Yeah.
So he could do it. He could do it. Bring him
I
back.
mean, probably if he's strained to do the Skeletor voice, he'd
Hey,
probably keel over. But
Catherine Beaumont did Alice in Kingdom Hearts. So what's his excuse?
she did.
I mean,
She
she
did.
is like 10 years younger, but still.
It's just like, come on, Jared Leto, this is your one chance. Redeem yourself. Give me the Skeletor voice we've always wanted. And then it sounds like Bane. It sounds like a weird, distorted Ian McKellen or Bane voice. It's like, no, we were this close. Someone's going to edit it though. JX has already done like a little mini edit of the trailer where he's done an impression of like classic Skeletor. But someone's going to do it when the film's out. Someone's going to come along and just replace the voice, and I'm fine with that. Right, that's our review on WALL-E. I would thoroughly recommend this film. I think this is absolutely going to stay the test of time, and I'm actually kind of angry at myself that I haven't gone back to watch this film more times than I have. I think this is a very, very special film. I definitely think it's one of Pixar's best. I was actually thinking about the ranking of this one. This is absolutely going to be an A-tier movie for me. This is probably one of the best animated films out there, but I do think there are still some Pixar films that I enjoy just a little smidge more than WALL-E. But this definitely has pushed the envelope. This is now planted the flag in terms of their animation, and we will see it progress. Sure, there'll be better looking films, but this was an absolute joy to go back to. It really is. Wonderful, wonderful film. A film that I think everyone should see. Right, so that is our review on WALL-E. Let us know your thoughts on WALL-E, and obviously stick with us for next week, where we're going to be talking about Up, as we've already mentioned. That's going to be next Wednesday at 9 p.m. In the meantime, Bath Time, well, hopefully I've still got you in the chat. Me and Bath Time will be going live this weekend. We've talked about either Saturday or Sunday. Bath Time, if Sunday's good for you, that's good for me. So I'll wait for his response. But yeah, we're going to be going live this weekend, and we're finally going to be talking about the Stephen Colbert Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past announcement. It's going to be a big stream. We've got lots to dissect. We're going to be actually watching the announcement video itself and giving our critique on what we think about Colbert and his son being hired. We're going to dive into the books, the appendices, the chapters in question, how we think it can be developed, and where we think, based on the Variety article, how we think the story is going to be put together. So there's a lot to discuss. And if you're a Tolkien fan, if you're into the Lord of the Rings films, I definitely recommend watching that video this weekend. Yeah, Sunday's fine. I'll post the time and everything once me and Bath Time have sorted that. But yeah, we're going to go for Sunday on that, and it's going to be great. But yeah, if you're locked in for the Disney Pixar stuff, next week we'll be talking about Up. And yeah, I'm going to keep working on the Hobbit edit as well. I've recently posted a change using like AI and stuff like that. So if you're curious about checking that out, because we talked about AI tonight, go and watch that. It's the recent video that I've posted on the channel. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. Really appreciate you guys for keeping the conversation going. And we hope to see you all again next week. Take care, everyone.